Hello everybody, this is Mr. Zabo. The purpose of this video is to familiarize you with some of the basic skills in the graphing calculator. I hope to do a series of these talking about the calculator skills that we're going to be using in our class. This first one is simply going to be about fractions and being able to convert fractions, convert decimals to fractions, and simplify fractions, and when we need to use that in particular with solving equations. We'll try to make these videos relatively quick so you can get through them as fast as possible. So, the first one, simplifying fractions using your TI84. To simplify a fraction, I just want you to type the fraction in. Fractions are division, so I'm going to take 124 and divide it by 340. I get a decimal. Okay. Yes, I could write this answer as a decimal, and I could round that answer. My calculator has rounded it for me, but this becomes approximately 0.3647, and I'll just round it here to 5 decimal places and get a 1. So this really becomes 0.36471. But if I want to simplify the fraction, that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is going to be this part here. And there's a couple of buttons you have to press in your calculator to get it. So, without typing anything else in, you want your cursor blinking right underneath your decimal. Press the math button. The first option is fraction. That little arrow means convert. So that's number 1. I can either press number 1 or I can just press enter here. And now it's asking you essentially, do you want to take that previous answer and convert it to a fraction? As long as that's what you want, you press enter again. It simplified the fraction for me to 31 over 85. Now the second one is the only difference is I have this negative. The key is when you have that negative, it's either a negative 732 over 555 or positive 732 over negative 555. It is not both. If they're both negative, it would be a positive. I can write it as a negative divided by a positive, positive divided by a negative, but I usually with fractions do the third option, which is type the negative button, which is down here at the bottom, not the subtraction button. The negative button, and then I like to put my fractions in parentheses whenever possible. 732 divided by 555 and the parentheses. That's my way of telling the calculator that this is a fraction and not simply a division problem. Process is the same. I get my decimal, I select math, I choose the arrow frac, so answer convert to a fraction, yes, and I get negative 244 over 185. Leave these as improper fractions, please. I'm not asking us and don't need us to convert that into a mixed number. Pause your video right now and try numbers 1, 2, and 3. When you've got your simplified fractions for these 3, unpause to check your work. Hopefully we got 9 over 64. Negative 17 over 12, and then the third one was an interesting case because that's actually a simplified fraction already. So in your calculator, that'll just basically tell you it's a simplified fraction by giving you back the fraction itself. Okay, the next section will be a little bit quicker as well. This is just taking, if I give you a decimal as opposed to calculating a decimal, and I want you to simplify the fraction, that's where you just type in your decimal, 0.44. Math, frac. So now take 0.44 and convert to a fraction. I want to write down in the calculator exactly what is given to me. That's 11 over 25. Even if it is a number greater than 1 or less than negative 1, like negative 4.332, I can do the same thing. Negative is down here. 0.332. And then choose math, frac, enter, and I get negative 1083 over 250. And once again, pause and try these two. Okay. We get 99 over 50 or negative 51 over 2000 for the second one. If you didn't get those, double check what you typed into your calculator compared to what I have in mine. And lastly for today is solving equations and then making sure that we are leaving our answers in simplified fraction form. I don't want rounded decimals, I don't want rounded answers, I don't want decimals at all. In this case, I want you to give me a fractional answer at all times. So the process of solving we've talked about, you guys know how to do. I'll do that quick. Add 7 to both sides, 12x equals 22, divide both sides by 12, and I can get my answer. But I want that answer provided in a simplified fractional form. So I'm going to take my 22, divide by my 12. That is my decimal. Don't give me the decimal. This is where we use our math frac enter. Your final answer would be 11 over 6. A shorter example, just divide both sides by 14. Some of these you could probably simplify in your head, but I'm not going to require that right now. I want us to simplify them. However it is you do that. I know I'm going to get them right if I use my graphing calculator. In that case, I just did 4 divided by 14, convert to a frac. I didn't even get my decimal. You can do it either way. Just be careful. Sometimes you got to be careful with your fractions in this form. You might want to put it in parentheses if you're going to do that. Okay. One last time. Pause. Try the 3 at the bottom. For number 1, we should get 2/3. Number 2 was placed here on purpose. If you get an integer answer, just leave it as the integer. You don't have to write that as a fraction of 2 over 1. You write any fractional answer as a simplified fraction, but you don't have to write your integer answers as fractions. And there you have it. There is our quick review and or introduction into the basic fraction skills with our graphing calculator.